Okay, let's dive right into this. If you clicked on this explainer expecting a gentle, comforting pep talk telling you that everything's just magically going to be all right, well, I have to be completely upfront with you. That's not what we're doing today. What we are doing is looking at a profound, slightly uncomfortable wake-up call drawn straight from some really powerful source material on human psychology and resilience. We're going to shake you out of that passive suffering. It is officially time to stop waiting for apologies that are literally never going to come, and start walking forward.
I want you to ask yourself this honestly, my dear soul. When someone treats you terribly, initially there's pain, right? There's anger. But then comes the absolute most dangerous part. You take that person and you give them a permanent, rent-free room right inside your own mind. Why? Why do you give up your inner peace to obsess over someone who hurt you, analyzing their every word and action, while that person is out there happily living their own life?
All right, moving into the first part of our explainer, the burden of the past. Let's look at how we actively choose to hold on to our emotional baggage.
Picture this for a second. You're standing in front of a door. Behind that door is your future, your new opportunities, an entire life waiting specifically for you. But right now, you've got these heavy stones clutched tightly in both of your hands. Those stones, they're the expectations of your parents, the complaints of a spouse, the betrayal of a friend, or even your own internal fears. Listen, you physically and mentally cannot grasp the handle of the door to your future if your hands are completely full of these heavy stones from the past. You just have to drop the stones first.
So, let me ask you a few point-blank, rapid-fire questions about those stones you're carrying around. The person who betrayed you, the one you're constantly thinking about. Do they actually care? Are they agonizing over what they did to you? Really think about it. Are they losing sleep at night, tossing and turning out of guilt? No. The harsh reality we see in the source material is that the person who wronged you is not lying awake. They're sleeping just fine. They're eating just fine. They are moving on. Which brings us to the real kicker. Then why are you? Why are you the one not sleeping? Why are you the one not eating? Why are you losing your joy? It's just a tragic irony. The pain you're feeling right now isn't theirs anymore, it's yours. And you're the only one choosing to keep it alive by holding onto it so tightly.
Okay, Section 2. The trap of victimhood. This is all about the dangerous comfort of carrying that pain. There was this brilliant old parable about this that I absolutely love. There was once a farmer whose neighbor maliciously poisoned his crops with weeds. When the crops grew, the weeds choked out the good plants. But instead of clearing his field, the farmer spent every single day going over to the neighbor's house just to yell at him. He complained to everyone in the village, he woke up angry, went to sleep angry, constantly obsessing over what his enemy did.
And here's the punchline of that whole story. By spending all his time and energy complaining about the enemy, the farmer allowed his own field to completely rot. The enemy remained entirely unaffected. Obsessing over the person you're angry with only destroys your own mental field.
This leads right into what psychologists call the victim identity. Sometimes we cling to our trauma because saying, "I'm the person who was wronged," or "I'm the one who was left behind," becomes this highly convenient shield. It's funny in a dark kind of way, but our brains actually prefer familiar misery over the terrifying unknown of taking action. Victimhood provides a built-in excuse for why we aren't succeeding, and more importantly, it removes the terrifying responsibility of actually having to build our own lives. To counter this, consider the story of a young village girl. Her family and society completely forbade her from getting an education. She had every right to be angry. She was faced with a massive, incredibly unfair hurdle. Now, she had two paths. Path 1, sit, cry, complain, and embrace that victim identity. Or Path 2, stand up and build her path anyway. Well, she chose the second. She studied in secret at night while everyone else slept. She worked when no one was watching. The big takeaway here is that everyone faces unfairness, but the path you choose in response is entirely up to you. Moving right along to Section 3, Forgiveness and Liberation. Let's talk about finding actual freedom. There's another really famous parable here that perfectly captures this idea. Two monks were walking and came across a raging river. A woman was standing there, terrified to cross. Now, despite their strict vows to never touch a woman, the first monk picked her up, carried her across the water, set her down on the other side, and the two monks just continued their journey in total silence.
Hours go by, and the second monk can no longer contain his anger. He just explodes. "How could you do that? It's against our rules to touch a woman." The first monk simply smiled and replied, "I left her at the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" You see, this perfectly mirrors our own minds. The event happened in the past, yet we carry the weight of the betrayer with us for hours, days, even years.
It's just harsh psychological math, right? When your mind constantly lives in the past, analyzing what happened and who wronged you, your present moment simply evaporates. You aren't actually living it. And because the present is literally the only place where you can build your future, living in the past inherently destroys your future.
So the absolutely crucial point here is redefining what forgiveness actually means. Letting go of the past is not admitting the perpetrator was right. It doesn't validate their toxic behavior at all. Instead, it is a massive, profound internal victory. It's you reclaiming your own power and acknowledging one simple truth. You cannot change what has already happened, so you refuse to let it ruin what happens next.
All right, final section, starting anew. This is where we talk about how to take action today.
Just imagine for a second that you found out you only had 10 years left to live. Just 10 years, and then the whole shebang is over. Would you really spend a single second of those precious 10 years chewing on the bitter memories of people who hurt you? Or would you finally start living, building, and experiencing some actual joy? We need to start treating our time with that exact level of urgency right now.
And you know what? The people who abandoned you, let's totally change the perspective on that. Frame their exit not as some devastating loss, but as a cleansing. The people who left your life have actually done you a massive favor. They created an empty space, a blank canvas. Don't go filling that beautiful blank canvas with their old memories. Fill it with better things, new dreams, and far better people.
Look, the idea of moving on can sound incredibly overwhelming, so let's break it down into a highly manageable daily action plan. Step 1, wake up. Step 2, consciously make the decision. Today, I'm not going to think of them. I'm focusing on me. Step 3, take just one tiny step forward toward your own goals. Nobody climbs a mountain in a single leap, right? It's always just one step at a time.
And for those of you who are still feeling that burning itch for justice or revenge, hear me out on this. You don't need to seek revenge. Just leave the accounting to nature. The universe, nature, karma, whatever you want to call it, it keeps a perfect ledger. The absolute bravest, most powerful response you can possibly have is to simply let them be, release the anger, and focus entirely on living a massively successful life of your own.
So I want to leave this question ringing in your ears right now. You are at a crossroads. Are you going to stay seated in the comfortable, familiar pain of the past? Or will you stand up, drop those heavy stones from your hands, and take your very first step forward today? The choice, as always, is entirely yours.